All right, I'm here with Jim Sink, CEO of Avatar Reality, and so far we've seen the OTOY client running Blue Mars on a Mac and a sort of a gaming laptop with a 3D chip in it. What are you going to be running Blue Mars on now in OTOY?
So this is a typical business laptop. It has a Intel integrated graphics chip, no 3D hardware. This one's pretty slow. It's a 3-pounder, 1.4 gigahertz Intel chip. We've got it connected to a external monitor here so you can see what we're doing on both sides. It was important to us to make sure that the fantastic content that's being powered by Blue Mars could be available on any device at any time, as easy as the content that we normally consume on the web. And OTOY has done a tremendous job at connecting our incredible virtual environment with every kind of machine essentially that has broadband and can display video. So what we'll run right now is, this is a standalone executable. It's 82K. That's a good bit larger than what the production file will be, which will be just a handful of K. In general, we expect most people to embed this directly into web pages. It can run with or without a plugin. So I'll boot it up now. You can see it goes very quickly. What's happening here essentially is this client is in California. It's about 2,200 miles away. It's on a big server, a mainframe server. It's being rendered and compressed in real time. So when I move my mouse, move the machine around, it's taking my inputs, sending them to California, rendering it, compressing it, and sending it back. Which sounds like it would be difficult to make it very responsive, but here I'll swing back and forth. You can talk, you can type, you can run around, you can do all the things that you can do in the regular local version of Blue Mars, except this requires no local 3D hardware.
So what about latency? That's been kind of the question with these cloud-based services.
So it is a great question. Latency is really, really important, especially when you have to deal with things like Guitar Hero, where the rhythm always has to be perfect. Or if you're playing a first-person shooter, where the difference between 70 milliseconds and 150 milliseconds might be a headshot. Those are the worst case scenarios when it comes to latency. If you go and use the streaming services that are available today, you'll see that it's very effectively managed. For typical virtual world and immersive 3D environments, you're not tracking bullets. You tend to be exploring, discovering, talking, building, and those things are much more tolerant to inconsistent latency. It's not so much that you can't get low latency, it's that sometimes it spikes for some reason randomly on the net. Now, this represents a worst case scenario. We're 2,200 miles away from the client, essentially, and it's very, very responsive. We've tested this here. We have just consumer class internet. You have really not that much bandwidth. Right now, it's rendering at about 85 frames per second on the server. It's about 35 frames per second here on this local machine. And right now transferring at about 50 to 80 K per second. We think you probably need about a 1.5 megabit per second connection for a good experience. The more you have, the higher resolution you can go. This is running, I believe, at 720p. You can go to 1080p. It really just depends on the amount of bandwidth you have.
Okay, so we're looking at a demo now. Is this going to be available anytime soon?
So this is the first time that we've shown this publicly. We're working with OTOY to get this out as soon as we can. I don't expect that we'll be able to offer this commercially until sometime early next year.
Okay. What's the cost going to be for a user?
Well, it will range from free and then go from there. There will always hopefully be an option depending on the content for free access. There could be opportunities for game developers, for example, who want to charge for a traditional game experience, either be it a subscription or a microtransaction based game. There would be instances where, say you were running a virtual conference and you wanted to host this virtual conference. For example, this location we're looking at here is called OnLand, built by some very talented developers in the UK called D-Lab, and there's conference spaces in here. So if you wanted to host this on your website, say you're a virtual GDC, the conference is covering the cost of the service. You're jumping in, maybe your ticket is part of that experience, or maybe it's free. but you can embed that directly in the web page. So we want to provide a lot of options for that as soon as possible next year.
How much would it cost the host, someone who wanted to sponsor an experience like this, do you think?
Well, that really comes down to the serving provider. I don't believe OTOY has made any public announcements for what they're charging, but it's very affordable. It's not particularly expensive. I think people will be surprised by how easy and affordable it is to do stuff like this.
Okay, and I'm seeing the network cable. Can you actually run this on wireless so I can do this from my couch or something like that?
You can. We're running the Ethernet here at the office. We're at a big office building. There's a lot of Wi-Fi interference. It's not quite fast enough or reliable enough here for a demo, but we've tested this. A bunch of us have brought it home. Essentially, if you can stream Netflix over your home Wi-Fi network and it looks good, this is going to be the same.
Okay, so we've seen this on the Mac and a gaming PC and kind of a lower powerful laptop. What else can we run this on?
Well, really, essentially, anything with broadband and the ability to display video will be able to run this. It'll run in a web page. It'll run on a Google TV. It'll run on an iPhone. It'll run on an iPad, Android, Windows 7. Anything that has broadband and can display video will be able to run this.
And how does this all fit into the big picture of Blue Mars, let's say?
When we kicked this off, most 3D virtual spaces are built around an application model. There's some app that you have to download and you use that app to access content. We believe strongly that interactive 3D, this immersive experience, is going to be as widespread as the other media forms we have online today. It started with text, then pictures, then music, and video. It's hard to imagine if YouTube in 2005 had required some sort of separate application for you to download to get the content. It wouldn't have taken off in the same way. You needed to be able to send someone a hyperlink and have it be as easy as the web and as fast as right now. That's what this allows us to do. And this deployment issue of how do we get people into these amazing worlds, this really helps us address that. So no more worrying about your video card drivers. No more worrying about, do you have 3D hardware? And it's important to make that distinction because a lot of people talk about, well, we'll render it in the browser. We'll have a plugin and we'll render it in the browser. That doesn't solve the local resources problem. You still have to have the hardware to render that local content. Now, sometimes that could take less bandwidth, but for people who have Wi-Fi and broadband, that's not really the issue. What you want is, it always works and it always works right now. And if you're a developer, you want to know that regardless of the device that someone's using to explore your content, it always looks great. It's going to look great on your iPhone, it's going to look great on your laptop, it's going to look great on your TV, because that content is being rendered essentially by the same machines on servers and streamed to those devices in a format that's appropriate for that screen size.
Great, and so you say this is rolling out early next year. When can people get their hands on it?
Well, I would recommend going to bluemars.com right now. We will be in touch first with all of the current users of Blue Mars. The client is free. It's available online today. The developer tools are also free. They're online. It comes with a bunch of sample content to make interactive levels and games, fashion, animations, furniture, locations, and you can build it and upload it. All that's available right now at bluemars.com.
Very good. So coming soon.
Coming soon. This content launched the other week. We've got a lot of other great stuff online, and there'll be a lot of more exciting announcements coming in the next couple of weeks.
Sounds good. Thanks very much.
Thank you.